Have the Glastrier, plenty of options in his stables if what he wants to pull out depending on the matchup, but the Spectrier ran away with a couple games yesterday, really got off to a great start and galloped away with those games. That said, when it comes to teams setting up and taking over games quickly, there's definitely options on Wolfe's team that can do that. The Colossal with the steam engine, able to keep up and be a little more advanced in terms of horsepower. The one thing I do want to pull out that we didn't see earlier when Wolfe was on stream was the Galarian Moltres. Now, with Bingjie having reliance on the Spectrier, the Galarian Moltres might be the perfect answer to that, and something that he's able to try and look at and just say, well, I can build my team around this and play around this very aggressively. Obviously, earlier the game was a Colossal matchup that you and I talked about, Rosemary. And this one looks to be a little bit different, with Moltres definitely coming to the fore, and maybe even Incineroar as well. It was the same four in every single game. The fantastic Gigantamax Urshifu there causing problems, and it could be the turn of Moltres to cause those problems.
Well, we got a chance to see these players before, but before we get into the match, let's talk about their accomplishments one more time. Wolfe running the gambit, having titles for basically everything that you could imagine. A regional, locals, North American, international championships, worlds, nationals when they used to be called that, and international challenges. And Bingjie with just a breakout performance in 2020, being a finalist at both the Dallas and the Portland regionals, and getting top 8 at Collinsville very early on in the season for 2020.
Yep, both trainers. I mean, Wolfe's pretty much always at the peak of his game. When he settles in, builds the right team, gets going with it, he's always going to be a threat. But Bingjie, one of those players who's really got on with Sword and Shield as a format, the different formats we've had as well throughout that. So definitely a player to watch out for, and somebody who could really take it all the way if his team gets going. So I think we're in for a fantastic match. Again, it's down in the losers bracket. Whoever loses this one does go home and will be falling one position short of the top 4 here in the Players' Cup.
I mean, top 6 is still going to be a really big accomplishment to be proud of, right? So I think that's something that a lot of players are definitely shooting for. But top 4, it secures you the travel awards as part of the prize for the Players' Cup too. So that's definitely something to play for. And of course, that champion title at the end of the road. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and get right into the match between Bingjie Wang and Wolfe Glick. Now, what I'm super excited about is exactly what you mentioned, is kind of seeing how Bingjie's going to use these Pokemon like that Spectrier. This is a very classic lead already coming out from Bingjie's side of the field that we saw before in our matches that we casted previously, which is just Spectrier and Clefairy kind of coming out into the fold. But you call it right, Adam. Galarian Moltres and Incineroar both for Wolfe making an appearance this game.
I think they're going to be important, and the Galarian Moltres is something that could start to really apply some pressure if it's it gets going and can really set up. Of course, the Incineroar, the Intimidate not so important in this matchup right now, just something that it may want to save for a little bit later, depending of course on what Bingjie is relying on in the back. But both trainers definitely know what their best strategies are for this matchup and just immediately start to show that one. In this case, the lead is not perfect for Wolfe, and the switch, once again, something he makes very early on.
Yeah, but the switches last time were really great because Rillaboom was able to tank so much of the damage coming in. But Bingjie already going ahead and saying, hey, it's time to Dynamax. We did this early on in some of our previous sets, and let's go ahead and do it again. Spectrier gets a chance to get going here, despite in this first turn not getting a Nasty Plot boost, which is one of the moves that it does have in its moveset. So, maybe relying on those Grimnays or this helping hand coming out from Clefairy to dish out big damage.
Yeah, and the Max Quake is the choice of move, and this Rillaboom switch could be absolutely essential. It's just not enough damage because it's not heading towards the Incineroar that he wanted to there. So yes, the special defense boost could be a really big help, but that Rillaboom switch in really good there for Wolfe, as Moltres is the one to Nasty Plot. Yesterday it was Spectrier for Bingjie setting up those Nasty Plots. This time Wolfe saying, yeah, you can do that. I can do that too with my own Moltres and just start going after you maybe in the next couple turns. So that could be a really important piece of setup here for Wolfe.
Yeah, and already you can just go ahead and see that Wolfe is hovering over, Dynamaxing that Galarian Moltres. One of the Pokemon that I feel like is such a fantastic choice because not only does it have a Life Orb attached, so it's going to be doing more damage, but you also have access to super effective Max Darkness. So that's another thing that you could kind of go for, or just those Max Airstreams to really boost up that speed. So many ways to help support this Galarian Moltres and the rest of its partners.
Whatever gets hit by this Galarian Moltres now is going to be taking such a big amount of damage, and it's certainly something that Bingjie is going to have to watch out for. The Dynamax No Shock, this nasty plot or Swords Dance kind of set up into the Dynamax the next turn has been something the players have been really keying into recently, and making sure that it's the perfect amount of damage that you need to set up. Galarian Moltres, a huge threat after the nasty plot, and I'll be curious to see if Bingjie can handle what it's going to be putting down, as this Rillaboom, you know, does know that it needs to try and slow things down a little bit here with the fake out, but the Clefairy's been so smart to avoid that.
Yeah, definitely still going for help there, just using those priority moves to be able to avoid those fake outs. But here comes a Max Strike coming in from the Spectrier, which is going to drop the speed of this Galarian Moltres. So maybe Wolfe thinking about using some of those Max Airstreams to even up the score a little bit later. But it's time for that Max Darkness, and it goes right into the Spectrier, which is not going to take that super well.
Spectrier does not appreciate the nasty plot boosted Max Darkness there from this Galarian Moltres. Yes, there's some HP recovery going on, and it's clinging on after those hits, but you know, the Max Strike wasn't enough either to get the knockout there on Rillaboom, so it really is a tale of two near misses when it comes down to this game, and it's a huge ask of this you know, Rillaboom to take those hits, but it's done it, and that's what it needed to do, I think, in this turn.
Absolutely. And Rillaboom also hovering over that grassy glide. Not only does it get priority, but it's also going to be boosted on the grassy terrain. With that Spectrier in knockout range, that's going to be a really great way to kind of seal up this game. But Clefairy goes for the follow me here, which is going to direct away all of that attention from that Spectrier so it can fire off another attack. Rillaboom going for the grassy glide. It does a decent amount of damage, but Spectrier, most importantly, able to fire back with a Max Phantasm, knocking out that Rillaboom.
Rillaboom's taken down, and defenses are coming down as well. You know, drops and boosts, always something that we have to track with these max moves. Importantly, it also gets the Grim Neigh, so its special attack is up, but it knocks itself out with the Life Orb, knowing that it was, you know, that's its last turn to make an attack. The Grim Neigh boost isn't going to be available for you a little bit later on, and that means that Moltres can max Airstream now. Don't forget, it's got a nasty plot boost, and it will make up for the speed drop that it had earlier from the Max Strike. There is, of course, one more turn available of the Dynamax, and a double knockout, very quickly changing things around for Wolfe. I mean, he's got his Moltres, one more turn of Dynamax, and, of course, another very useful supportive Pokemon to go with it.
Right, and I'm just kind of thinking about what does Bingjie have in the back, because it's going to have to be able to sweep this game. We will be able to see those 4 final Pokemon coming out onto the field, as it's Incineroar for Wolfe, and it's going to be Bingjie with the Urshifu and the Rotom Heat. Now, the Intimidate doesn't really matter here because with these 2 Pokemon, knowing that Rotom is more of a special attacker and that Urshifu still has that Unseen Fist ability. So, you know, I think this is going to be an interesting endgame for sure.
Oh, most definitely, and there's so much that this Rotom Heat needs to do. It doesn't even matter. Bingjie just realizing, yeah, I can't get through this Moltres.
But let's go ahead and get into game number 2 and see whether or not Bingjie can bring us back into a 3-game set, or if Wolfe is going to be our 4th and final player to enter into our top 4. It's going to be similar leads for Bingjie as it is that Spectrier and Clefairy hitting the field, but look at this, a different strategy this time around, Adam. It's going to be Urshifu and Colossal now coming out for Wolfe.
I think Wolfe looking for something a little different, maybe trying to match just the pure speed and offense of this Spectrier that, you know, was so potent in the first turn. So making sure he can try and keep up and maybe steam engines the way that he wants to do that. Doesn't look like he's going to stick with it immediately, though. Just mixing things up a little bit, getting rid of that Colossal immediately.
Yeah, Colossal just going to leave the field now in favor of that Galarian Moltres, as we do see Clefairy now go ahead and use the Follow Me to become the center of attention as Nasty Plot this time around for Bingjie. So maybe this was the type of adjustment we needed to see, as Spectre wasn't able to get enough damage off by itself. But Surging Strikes from Wolfe's Urshifu is going to find its mark onto the Clefairy. It's still not doing very much to it, but the good thing about that Follow Me is it really keeps that Spectre safe to have that Nasty Plot.
And that's exactly why the Clefairy Spectre is such a powerful combination, right? They're able to the Clefairy looks after the Spectre then takes that time to set up, and similar to what Wolfe did in game number 1, right? You know, where he said, well, I have this actual kind of rotating pair of fake out users to slow you down and force you into difficult moves you might not want to make, while I nasty plot and set up. It's certainly something that, you know, he's very good at doing, being able to switch around with multiple fake out users is something Wolfe's done on previous teams that he's built and played with. So, certainly, smart play here from Bingjie, and I think this makes the Spectre a whole lot more threatening. He saw in game number 1 that he wasn't able to get those knockouts without the nasty plot boost, and I think learning from that, acknowledging that, is really, really wise.
Absolutely. I mean, Spectre going ahead and Dynamaxing here with the Nasty Plot boost is going to be really important. And this time around, we're not seeing a Nasty Plot come out from this side of the field. So what could this possibly be, getting that Dynamax factor? It is, in fact, that Galarian Moltres, but this time around, the roles are swapped. The sides are mirrored. Bingjie has the upper hand with the ability to use that helping hand on Clefairy, as well as that Nasty Plot boost on Spectre.
I'm very interested to see what the Spectre... I mean, the Spectre could really just start dealing all the damage it wants to, and just needs to make sure that its targeting is correct. Max Strikes lowering the speed could be good if they actually landed, which the Max Guard from Moltres really heads up play to avoid that. But, you know, this Clefairy is going to keep sitting on the field, keeping this Spectre safe. And both trainers going through the first turn of their Dynamax with no damage really landing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ooh, and the Surging Strikes isn't even enough to be able to knock out this Clefairy, so it's still sticking around on the field for Bingjie to continue to support this Spectre.
It's going to be a tough old ask. I mean, we know that the Max Darkness shouldn't be able to get there because of the way that the Spectre has been taking hits previously, and we saw that in game number 1, so that bit of knowledge definitely making this one a little bit harder for Wolfe, and 2 turns trying to get rid of this Clefairy. Not enough for him there. That's a bit of a problem, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that too, because that Clefairy can just continue to sit there and direct away all of that attention, or just go for a helping hand like this, and this is about to be explosive amounts of damage, as we do see that Max Strike come out from the Spectre right into the Galarian Moltres, and that's just a one-hit knockout, Adam.
Yeah, that Moltres has not even afforded the chance to try and Max Darkness it back, with or without, of course, its boost from Nasty Plot. So don't have to worry about activating Berserk when you just one hit knock out the opposing Pokemon, and Grim Neigh going off there onto the Spectre is going to make it a massive problem for the rest of the game, as these Surging Strikes, they're not going to be doing all that much, and this Spectre could take over the game very, very quickly.
Right, that's kind of what we've seen, though, from Bingjie even yesterday when we got a chance to see some of his matches, that you can get the Spectre set up, and then it's almost like the same problem that Wolfe gave to Bingjie in that last game of this set, which was my Galarian Moltres can run away with the game with the Nasty Plot boost, and then you have the potential for the Berserk. Well, this time around, Bingjie's the one with the momentum. You have the Nasty Plot boost on the Spectre, and now those Grim Neighs are activating.
The Grim Neigh means the Spectre will be able to just start one-shotting whatever it wants to. You know, one max move should be enough, with the exception of obviously Focus Sashes and other such choices. It's going to be a little bit hard to stop that from doing exactly what it wants. It's only taken a little bit of damage too, so it's last turn Dynamax, last time that it can max move and try and land exactly what it needs. But yeah, the Clefairy is still there, keeping it nice and safe, and maybe able to draw away an essential attack just to allow the Spectre to really run away with this. Wolfe very much going back and forth on his move decision here on where he wants to target to get the most out of this turn.
Well, this is going to be a problem, because that Clefairy, regardless of whether it's, you know, sitting at full health or little health, it's going to have to take an attack here and draw away that attention with that Follow Me. So Grassy Glide going into the Clefairy to finally knock it out, but Max Phantasm able to fire back now, and this Urshifu barely able to hang on because of the Focus Sash that it has.
That's all it needed, though, to hang on, and it may be able to, try and land some damage down without the friend guard in play. Could help a little bit. It's not going to be so much that it's going to be able to threaten a knockout, but it's definitely more damage to start adding up on the Spectre just before it ends its Dynamax as well. That said, you still have to respect that if it does attack you, it is probably going to start landing more knockouts. The only thing saving the Urshifu there was, of course, the Focus Sash.
Yeah, the Focus Sash was so impactful to be able to allow this Urshifu to continue to get off that damage with the Surging Strikes. You can already see that Spectrier is pretty low now, but Bingjie has yet to reveal the final 2 Pokemon that he has in the back. We're going to get a chance to see one of those now, which it is going to be an Urshifu of his own. But this one's a little bit different. This one is a single strike Urshifu, so more of that difference in variant.
That's something that is interesting to see. A lot of people obviously going with the Rapid Strike, and it pairs up perfectly with the Colossal. It's something that you absolutely need. But it does mean that it's not going to be weak to the Grassy Glide, so it may give it a little more breathing room when it comes to being able to land an attack. It is, of course, weak to the potential close combats, but then if you go for something like that, then you have to be respectful of the fact that you may just get hit by the Spectrier first, or you may even get hit by the opposing Urshifu first. So a lot of tough decisions to make for Wolfe, as he is facing down, yes, it's low health, but a very high damage output potential Spectrier.
Yeah, I mean, Spectrier is still able to do so much, but Aqua Jet comes out first, which is a priority move, going to be able to move before the Spectrier can, and it will get knocked out here before getting a chance to use those Grimnade boosts that it's been able to get. But close combat now, going into the Rillaboom this time around, so yeah, just being able to knock that out, and now it's just Urshifu and Colossal for Wolfe, where Bingjie is left with their final 2 Pokemon as well. It's 2 versus 2 here.
That Urshifu is just going to be able to do so much damage when it hits, though, and this single strike Urshifu that he's been playing has been so good at just putting down the damage. The final 2 are going to be on the field, and it's definitely a tough one because this is going to be a Colossal against a not so helpful partnered up with an Urshifu, but it doesn't have access to Dynamax and take those hits very, very well, and obviously with very limited speed control available. This Regieleki is still the fastest Pokemon around. That is something that we cannot undervalue or underrate.
Absolutely. I mean, Wolfe locking in those moves very, very quickly, recognizes what he needs to be able to make this endgame happen. But Extreme Speed comes out first, coming out from the Regieleki. And because it's fast, even though those moves do share the same priority, the Aqua Jet's not going to be able to come through. And close combat just seals up this game. We are going to a game number 3. Bingjie able to bring us into a tied series and see the conclusion of this incredibly exciting match.
Well, I think as well the adaptation from Bingjie there to bring Regieleki in the back over the Rotom Heat was really, really important and absolutely key in kind of closing up this game for him here. Both trainers leading with their potential Nasty Plotter, no switching needed here. So this game could just get going very, very quickly. They've got a supportive Pokemon with them, and I think both trainers are going to try and weave in that Nasty Plot where possible.
Or not, though. Wolfe is just going to go ahead and hit the go button here. It's time to try to knock out this Clefairy so that it cannot continue to do the support that it did in that game number 2. That was so crucial for Bingjie able to get that Spectrier up and running. And so going ahead and double targeting down the Clefairy means that Clefairy is not going to be able to stick around on the field nearly as long. But wait a minute. Wait, Bingjie's not going for the Nasty Plot setup either. It's all about going on the offense here for both of these trainers.
I said it was going to be both or neither, and it appears they've gone for neither. The damage outputs are going to be a little bit lower, obviously no boost to the special attacks on either side, but both trainers establishing that maybe trying to set it up is a little bit audacious against an opponent who knows exactly how that strategy executes, and start just changing stats around with the max moves. That's going to be really important when it comes to playing through the rest of this game. So both trainers just Dynamaxing on turn 1 with their big kind of focal points of these teams, and no switching around to try and kind of level up that board. Both trainers just want to get going.
Yeah, Max Strike comes out first from Spectrier because of Dynamax first. You can tell it does have the fastest speed. Urshifu, though, sticking around because of that Focus Sash, taking that Max Strike. all the way down to 1 HP. But the speed is going to fall here. Wolf smartly recognizing that Max Strike might be the option that Bingjie goes for. So going for the ability to use Max Airstream just to be able to try to level up the playing field and make sure that it's not going to be too impactful. But here come the Surging Strikes from Urshifu right into the Clefairy. We saw how much this did in that very first game, and it's still going to bring that Clefairy to about half. But let's see if the follow-up from this Moltres with this Max Airstream is going to be enough to knock out this Clefairy, and it is.
The Clefairy there just immediately removed from play, and this is a really bad situation, I think, for Bingjie. Like, he's struggling to keep up, and losing the Clefairy, and most importantly, I think, losing the Friend Guard that it brings to the field is going to be really, really problematic for him. He definitely needs something in the back that can quickly swing momentum. You know, he tried to control the speed a little bit there and didn't quite get away with it. Of course, while speed's being controlled, a Pokemon that's just above it all, Regieleki, could be there, but it's a huge ask to try and get an easy knockout with this Regieleki, especially on something like that Moltres, which, you know, is going to be very, very healthy. And as we've warned, if you don't get the knockout and you activate its ability, it's a problem.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, this is going to be super interesting for sure. Wolf making a very tough decision right now. What do you switch in? What do you bring into that slot? Who do you target down? It's a very, very pivotal moment in this game to get this next turn right.
This turn is huge for Wolf, and I think if he gets this right, could just win the game off it, and that's probably what he's going to look to try and do. The Urshifu staying safe for later. Very wise. Could need that extra bit of damage, and we've seen it a couple times. You know, this Rillaboom is a fantastic switch into some of the options that get thrown out. Not sure that they're the desired options from something like this Spectrier right now, but it's something to be careful of. And this Spectrier has been very defensive here with a Max Guard.
Yeah, Electro Whip's going to come out here. It's going to be super effective on this Moltres, which is carrying that Life Orb, not the weakness policy. We noticed that was on the Colossal a little bit earlier, so it's safe to go for those super effective moves. But Max Darkness fires back, reading that Max Guard was going to come out here, and Regieleki barely able to hang on because of a Focus Sash that it's carrying as well.
Regieleki's Focus Sash, absolutely essential there. And special defenses dropping, could be important if it's up to the Moltres to try and just land a big hit on this Spectra. I like that the Regieleki's being smart and is trying to kind of control the board a little bit with the Electro Web. You know, more speed drops to consider and maybe more Max Airstreams to work in. But this Rillaboom switching is key because Bingjie is going to need two hits to knock out this Moltres safely, and 2 hits before it gets to attack back. Now, putting the damage down on the Regieleki and switching in the Rillaboom means the Rillaboom can ignore that ferocious speed stat of the Regieleki just with a Grassy Glide or even a Fake Out, right?
Yeah, Fake Out would be enough.
So, you know, he's able to just completely ignore that and take this Regieleki out. And this is the turn that Bingjie needs to land some of those knockouts as well. So, a really tough ask. Maybe the Electro Web damage is going to be enough, but of course, no nasty plot boost means this Spectre is not as terrifying as it could have been.
Yeah, Spectre is definitely had its ups and downs, and look at this, even Bingjie giving up the rest of the Dynamax here because Spectre is definitely not safe in the face of this Galarian Moltres, bringing out the Urshifu instead. As Rillaboom does go for the Grassy Glide here, we'll be able to do that last bit of damage to this Regieleki to be able to knock it out. But that means that this Galarian Moltres is free to go for the Max Darkness right into the Urshifu that just got switched in. It's still not going to do very much because of the typing, but this is a dangerous position for Bingjie to be in, down to his final 2 Pokemon.
Giving up the Spectre there is a huge kind of net loss for him, I think. You know, maybe he had to fish for some type of damage, but realizing that it would have got knocked out by the Max Darkness, wanting to keep it safe for later is a fine idea, but it has to come in and face down this Galarian Moltres anyway. Yes, the Galarian Moltres isn't going to be Dynamaxed. Yes, of course, the special defense drop is reset from the earlier Max Darkness onto the Regieleki, but right now, I mean, this Moltres is sitting pretty comfortably. If it can take a small hit, it's going to be able to activate its ability. Something we've not seen yet. A lot of players are very cautious not to activate that. But overall, I think Wolf absolutely in the driving seat in this game by not taking Yeah, I mean, across all the Dynamax turns available for the Spectrier, only one attack, one max guard, and one switch out. So a lot more value out of this Moltres while it was Dynamaxed compared to the Spectrier. And that can be a deciding factor in these games.
Yeah, I mean, even getting the Incineroar in here and now just to be able to get those Intimidate drops as the Grassy Glide comes through, bringing Spectrier to below half. But Hyper Beam, Bingjie's going all out right now. Hyper Beam right into the Incineroar that just switched in, bringing it low, but not low enough. It's going to be in range of being able to use its berry, that Citrus Berry, bringing it back up to half. As Close Combat now comes through for the Rillaboom. And still, this is just not the knockouts that Bingjie needs right now. And he definitely had to go all out in this move.
Huge turn for Wolf there, and it looks like a very defensive turn, but it's defensive in the most fantastic way possible. The Incineroar coming in cuts down the threat that Urshifu provides, and that means the Rillaboom's still in play. The Incineroar is also able to, it's not Moltres, so the Hyper Beam doesn't get the knockout there, and that's just a huge problem for the Spectrier in this turn. Really, really smart play from Wolf. The Incineroar switch in, absolutely key. A Pokemon that has been terrorizing VGC for years now, but that is exactly the reason why it's just so good in certain situations. And this Spectrier just taken out by the Grassy Glide. That means it's just Urshifu against all of Wolf's team. Nothing knocked out there. He's been so cautious to save things when he needs, and this Urshifu doesn't have spread attacks. It is just going to have to hope that maybe Wolf decides to protect everything. But Wolfe Glick showing, didn't need to nasty plot to win this game. To be fair, Bingjie didn't either, and it's kind of blown up on him a little bit as, this Urshifu can't get through all four. And it looks like Wolfe Glick will be heading to those losers semis as Urshifu taking a lot of damage from the Grassy Glides.
Yeah, Close Combat able to knock out Incineroar before it's able to fire off that final Flare Blitz, but because the Rillaboom is sticking around on the field, it can just go for another Grassy Glide on this next turn, and Bingjie's Urshifu is definitely not safe from that, well within the knockout range for this next turn.
I think that Incineroar is going to be a bit of a consolation knockout for this Urshifu, just getting one to take with him. The Urshifu on Wolf's side is still knocking around. It's only got 1 health, but it's another Pokemon that you can just kind of throw in the way and see what gets targeted down. As you mentioned, though, Rillaboom still has access to just be Grassy Gliding, and I don't think there's a simple way back for Bingjie. This one looks to be getting wrapped up. He is going to try the Aqua Jet. Oh, no, Wolf is actually Aqua Jetting. He's the one with the Rapid Strike, and we don't even get the chance to see the Rillaboom do it. That's going to be wrapped up by another priority move.